please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, for the mid-cap index, we've completely flattened out as we speak at this point. And do watch out for the advance decline ratio, because it seems as though at some point it's probably going to crisscross on the declining side. So currently it stands, well, it's already done that. It's around 916 stocks advancing to around 1,092 stocks which are declining at this point. So just watch out for the advance decline ratio. We're not able to sustain that, at least for today's trading session as well. So you can see that crisscross which is coming through. Some more source-based information. So we're going to try and get the reporter to talk about this as well, where they are raiding, the ED has raided the Gitanjali Gems office as well, and the suspended PNB officials' residence as well. So it's a multi-pronged kind of approach that the ED is undertaking right now in terms of unearthing more information with regards to all of this news. Those are the visuals which are on your screen as well. Ashwani Gujral is with us to talk about the markets right now. Ashwani, hi, over to you then. What are you sensing about the advance decline ratio now turning negative? Is that a bit of a negative indicator?
See, today it's more about the large indices. So Bank Nifty, IT, etc. If those indices hold up, then possibly Nifty can hold into the green. So mid caps never really outperformed today. They weren't expected to. Today, basically, the story is that Bank Nifty and most banks are taking this fraud, etc., in their stride and kind of moving on. The Bank Nifty hasn't shown follow through from yesterday. So the big move happened in the morning where Bank Nifty gained 200, 220 points. Now from here we need to see if we are able to hold on to these levels. Then maybe there is a second leg of short covering that happens on the banks. But overall mid caps look like they would have such a great day. As far as individual stocks are concerned, Hindalco is a buy with a stop of 247, target of 262. I think United Spirits is completing a correction. That's a buy with a stop of 3,300, target of 3,450. And Jain Irrigation is a sell with a stop of 128, target of 120.
Ashwani, apart from Hindalco, any other commodity names looking set for more on the upside?
See, the other commodities are cement, etc. They are not looking so good. But metals being an international commodity, internationally metal prices are strong. So that way, Vedanta, Hindustan Zinc, Tata Steel, etc., all of them look like they are doing fairly well. So that's one place on the upside. The other thing is the NBFC. That trade started yesterday and possibly continues even today. That looks like a multi-day style trade because this banking mess is likely to continue, and chances are, money that's getting withdrawn from banking gets back into NBFCs.
Okay, we got some questions for you from viewers. So this is a question on PNB. Niranjan writes in, he's got 300 shares of PNB. He's paid 155 rupees each for them. Wants to know whether to hold or sell. Stocks under 140 now. Ashwani, what would you tell him?
See, simple rule, if your stock is losing more than 10%, you need to be out. Banks where all kinds of frauds are happening, NPAs are there. All this cannot happen without connivance. So chances are nobody is bothered about the bank. Everybody wants to fill up their own pockets. This is, PSU banks, I don't think whatever capital they are given, whatever happens, they are going to be good, profitable organizations. And I think over a period of time, PNB will only go lower. Maybe you could have sporadic rallies, etc. But this sector is not reviving. I would exit and possibly get into something like Yes Bank, IndusInd Bank, etc. Maybe even Kotak or NBFCs which have corrected, something like a Canfin Home or DHFL, those sort of stocks.
Okay. All right, Ashwani, we're going to let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in. Well, you can see the kind of underperformance that PNB is already seeing. On a week-to-date basis, it's fallen around 12% and this is versus the PSU Bank Index itself, which has lost over around 4% on a week-to-date basis. Take a break. Okay, more important news coming in, where Nirav Modi, we understand from CNN News 18, had left India before the PNB FIR. So, it is another case where there is a missing promoter at this point in time.
What did I tell you?
Yeah, we were just discussing this in the break.
And by the way, before so there is only one FIR which was filed in that, and the amount mentioned in the FIR is 280 crores.
Yeah.
And that was, so at least a week old. So we're basically talking about, we're basically talking about him having left the country at least a week before. The first FIR was filed. I think Utkarsh is now joining in. Utkarsh, so when these raids and searches by the Enforcement Directorate are happening, there is also news coming in from CNN News 18. I don't know if you saw it, but let me just read this out. It says Nirav Modi left India before the PNB FIR. So let's just begin there. The PNB, there's only one FIR right now, which was for the amount of about 280 odd crores, right? And that was at least a week old. Yeah.
So Prashant, if you look at it, Nirav Modi anyhow does not spend a lot of time in India. He's based in the US for a long time. And if you look at the raids as well, remember that the moment the FIR was filed, ED and CBI will also look to restrict his movement. And that is precisely the reason Nirav Modi would have left the country a week before. If you're speaking about what's happening currently, ED is raiding around 13 locations across the country when it comes to this whole case. All the PNB officials which are being suspended, not only the two whose names are in the FIR, but the PNB officials who have been suspended are also being raided by ED at this point of time. Gitanjali Jain's office is being raided by ED at this point of time, and the Nirav Modi's house, which is in Pedder Road, and also Nirav Modi's office. Both of them have been raided at this point of time. Now, it is very important, Prashant, because ED was looking at issuing a LOC for Nirav Modi so that he cannot leave the country. But now, as the reports are coming that he has already left the country a week before. So there can be possibilities that at least for the rest of the accused, whether it be Mehul Choksi or Gitanjali Jain or other accused, ED might end up really issuing a notice to restrict their movement out of the country. At this point of time, ED took an FIR yesterday on the 280 crore case. Remember that ED has not yet taken cognizance of the 10,000 or 11,000 crore rupees case. They are operating in the 280 crore case only on the basis of the CBI FIR. Now, it will be by the evening when we'll get a clearer picture of who all are the accused in the ED FIR. What we are picking up from our sources is that what ED believes is that all the three companies which have been named. Now, remember that when the FIR happened, the three companies which are being named are not Nirav Modi's or Mehul Choksi's companies. They are companies where they are partners. And what ED believes is that these companies are operating as a shell company, and they have been used to launder the money. So obviously ED is probing all of them. But all these three companies which have been named are not based out of India. So that will be a bit of difficulty for ED to probe. So at this point of time, what ED is doing is raiding all the PNB officials as well as house residents and officers of Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi.
Okay, all right. We're going to leave it on that note. Utkarsh, thanks very much for joining in and talking to us. So that's the latest which is coming in. And maybe there will be some process now to probably try and extradite him to come back and probably face the charges with regards to all of what's happened. But this is a developing story, so we're going to keep getting you details on this. Remember that at one point, I think he was ranked 57, or rather in 2017, 85th in terms of the Forbes list, and $1.73 billion in terms of a net worth is all of the details. And he is a jewelry designer and has Firestar, which is the holding company of the jewelry designing companies that he runs, or stores that he runs.
70 points, so basically recovering. The Nifty from the time that we started had given up about 20 odd points. So it had come off meaningfully, and it's now come back 10 points. We still about 10 points off the highs. 10,570 is where we are at. There's a news at the bottom of the screen, and this is from agencies. PC Jewelers CFO saying that the company is not related to PNB fraud case in any way. I don't know why the PC Jeweler, the CFO, found it necessary to make the statement, but I guess that's the statement which is coming in from the CFO, saying that it's not related to the fraud in any way. The stock was up 4, it's up 3.5 odd, so it's recovered a little bit, but basically there. The mid-cap index is down and actually absolutely flat, 5-6 odd point change down, 2146. So that's the index which has actually suffered the most. And if you put up the advanced decline ratio, I think Ekta was talking about this earlier, declines are now outnumbering advances. When we started, I mean, you still had a comfortable lead for advances, but it's kind of crossed over in the last 40-45 odd minutes or so.
Satin Credit Care reported what was a strong set of numbers for the third quarter, driven by improvement in asset quality and net interest margins. We have with us Mr. H.P. Singh, the founder and the MD of the company, joining on the phone line. Mr. Singh, hi. Thank you very much for joining in. Let's start with your asset quality, which has improved this quarter. What led to it, and what is your target probably for the coming quarter as well as FY19?
So in terms of asset quality, I think, what we've been able to achieve in the last 2 quarters as such, I think an overall improvement in our PAR 90 percentage, which improved from about 11.3% to about 9.17%. On the overall quantitative side, I think we've brought it down by about 158 crores in the last 9 months, and about 61 crores was recovered in the last quarter in itself, So I think, that's where an improvement has been there for the last 2 quarters. And I think moving forward in the next couple of quarters also, we see maybe some kind of an improvement also possibly coming in our asset quality going forward.
You expect the recovery rate to continue into the coming quarters? I think you mentioned 61 crores for Q3.
I won't hazard a guess that it will probably be maybe on the same, plane or so, but our sense is that, since we are at it, doing recoveries across, I think it'll probably be there. The quantum and amount, I think it'll probably, it's a question of time before we are able to do it. But I think, the process is still on, maybe a couple of more quarters, before we are finally able to settle down the dust of demonetization.
Can you give us some guidance? You said, towards the end of the first answer, you said improvement in asset quality, even from here. Can you give us some guidance?
Giving a guidance is probably not, fair on our part to probably, do it across over there. But, since we made improvements in the last 2 quarters, I can just put it at that, we'll still try and do that,
In the ballpark, for example, where would you end this year at, roughly?
If you look at the net NPAs as such, I think they're driven down now to about 3.67%.
Yes.
So I think, there'll be an improvement in my own senses. Let's see where it comes on across.
Okay, quick.
Because this is now going to be the more tougher buckets, to probably move across.
Okay. The other parameter, and a quick answer on this, your net interest margin improved. It's above 12%. What was cost of funds now? And do you expect this net interest margin to improve and based on the kind of rate scenario that we're working with now?
See, for us, technically, we work on a 10% interest margin, as per the RBI guidelines. For us, there's a cost of fund decrease from our lenders across over there. We'll have to bring down our cost of, borrowing rates to our borrowers. So our net interest margins will probably remain in the same bracket as such. It's been a 4% quarter-on-quarter growth in the net interest margin, but I think, it'll probably be stable from here now on at this level as such.
Okay. For the Nifty, we're up around 0.7%. Let's talk about a couple of other stocks. We know what's happening with PNB and the likes, but Larsen & Toubro, for example, is in focus on account of the construction orders that they've won worth around 1,585 odd crores. So that stock is in focus. But separately, even something like a Natco is in focus, where there is a inspection which is going on at one of their API plants. So that stock should come up for you. Natco is the one that I'm talking about, Natco Pharmaceuticals, and not Nalco from the metal space.